Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of What If Peter Parker Was in My Hero Academia universe. The first series to ever come out in my channel and still one of my favorite ones to this day. As always, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, there will be a link in the description below and the annotation above. If you enjoy this series and want to see it continue, please leave a like and let me know in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, criticisms, or ideas, be sure to leave them in the comments below or ideally in my Discord server. Link to that will be in the description. Before we get started, I have to say spoiler alert for the Class 1A versus Class 1B arc, which I believe will be covered in Season 5 of MHA. In the previous episode, we stopped following Peter and instead went to the pro-hero world, seeing some new faces along with some old ones. We saw how Endeavor took down the high-end Nomu known as Hood with the help of Hawks and, in this case, also the White Tiger. During the fight, a girl in a Miss Marvel t-shirt called Kamala Khan helped out some civilians on the street, pushing them out of harm's way. After the attack, Captain Marvel and some other Avengers came to help in the aftermath. Here, Carol actually meets Kamala. Carol asks, "Excuse me, are you the high schooler that helped out the old lady and that man?" Kamala says yes. She then turns around and recognizes who she's talking to and lets out a scream of joy, saying, "Oh my gosh! You're Carol Danvers! You're the Captain Marvel! I can't believe I'm talking to you! Can I have your autograph?" Carol smirks and says, "Sure, kid. What's your name? Who do I make it out to?" Kamala presents herself and grabs a notebook and pencil from her bag and hands it over to Carol for her to sign. As she signs, Carol asks, "So, where are you from originally?" Kamala says, "Well, I was born in the US, but my parents are originally from Pakistan." Carol asks, "What are you doing here then?" Kamala says, "Well, my parents got a pretty good job offer here with the firm they work for, and they transferred the whole family here." Carol says, "I understand what that can be like. What school do you go to? Have you made any friends there?" Kamala says, "Yeah, I made plenty of friends. Actually, only like 5. I go to UA High." Carol asks, "You're a first year, right? I'm not misjudging?" Kamala answers, "Yes, I'm the first year in high school." Carol says, "Don't remember reading your name in the first year list of the hero course, or even seeing you in the sports festival." Kamala says, "Yeah, well, I didn't actually get into the hero course. I was the runner-up in case anything happened, but nothing did. And I was sick for the sports festival, so I couldn't show my potential then. I applied for a transfer to the hero course, but I heard nothing of it." Carol hands Kamala her notebook and smiles and says, "Let me see what I can do about that. You did good today, kid. You showed real potential. If you ever get licensed, give me a call." Kamala asks, How do I even contact you? I don't have your number." She looks down on her notebook and sees that besides the signature, Carol also left her phone number. Kamala then cries out in joy. At the end of the day, Kamala gets back to school and walks to the Heights Alliance, going into the Class 1D building. Gwen says, "Hey, welcome back, Kamala." Kamala says, "Hi. I'm going straight to bed, so tell the others I'm not having dinner tonight." Gwen looks up from her notebook on genetics and asks, "Is everything okay?" Kamala says, "Yeah, just very tired. Had a very long day." The next day, back on the hero side of things, after Peter finishes his classes, he goes to Aizawa and asks for a permission slip to leave the school for a couple hours. Aizawa asks, "What is it for?" Peter says, "I'm going to Stark Industries to pick up some materials and stuff. I hope it's okay." Aizawa asks, "And you want to take your equipment with you?" Peter says, "I can go a lot faster with it, and if I see anything going on the way, I can stop it. Don't worry, I'll be careful." Aizawa sighs and says, "Fine, but be back before 6. Peter says, "Yes, sir." Peter puts on his spider suit, his hero suit basically, the red and blue one, and swings towards the station, hitching a ride on a train and jumping off halfway, getting to Stark Industries in under 25 minutes. About 3 minutes away from the building, Peter hears a scream and swings by an alleyway. A man calling himself the Human Fly steals the purse from a woman, throwing her to the ground. He then opens up his wings and flies away. Peter shoots a web in front of him and grabs the purse, handing it to the woman. The human fly gets stuck in the web. He turns to the burglar as he starts sobbing and says, "Don't feel bad, buddy. It's just natural selection at work. The animal kingdom. The spider catches the fly in its web." Spidey grabs a note and puts it on the web, calling the police. Peter then resumes his way, reaching Stark Industries. He takes off his mask and walks in. He walks to the receptionist and says, "Hello, Peter Parker. I am here to pick up a package of materials from Mr. Stark." A woman named Yocasta says, "Ah, yes. It's in the 3rd floor waiting for you. Mr. Stark says you're welcome." Peter walks to the elevator. When it opens, sand just jumps out of it, pushing Peter away. In the sand is a lot of technology pieces. Flint Marko manifests and says, "Aha, finally a big score." Peter shouts, Shut the place down!" Yocasta hits a button, and the security starts closing down. Peter then shoots a web, grabbing a couple of the most valuable materials that Flint is carrying. Sandman turns back, saying, "If I don't get those, Octavius is gonna kill me, not to mention I'll lose my score." Peter says, "Let's play keep away then." He shoots the piece of tech to the roof and webs it up. He jumps at Sandman, wanting to kick him, but the kick just goes through Sandman's body. Peter says, "What the hell?" Sandman says, "Normal tricks don't usually work on me, but my tricks work on you." Sandman punches Peter, sending him flying. He then grabs Peter's leg and starts bashing him left and right before sending him flying against the wall. Peter lands, breaking through a door into a janitor's closet. Sandman stretches up and grabs the pieces of tech, wanting to leave. He breaks through the blast doors that come down and starts walking out. Peter jumps out of the closet with a vacuum cleaner in his hand and says, "Not so fast, Mr. Beach." He turns it on, sucking Sandman in. Peter says, "Now to hand you over to the security." Peter returns the stolen tech and goes to pick up what he came for, setting forth on his way home afterwards, running against the Frightful Four, conducting a robbery on the way to the UA. He tries to ignore it and keep going, but says, "Damn it, great responsibility." Peter webs his stuff to a wall and says, "Nobody touch that," and he goes to deal with a group of villains. In the meantime, Carol Danvers meets with Nezu and the first-year teachers to discuss Kamala's entering the hero course. After making her case, Nezu says, "I understand that she has great potential, and viewing the results on her previous tests, she would probably get in, but in the short amount of time we have, I don't think it's in the cards for us to prepare a specialized exam for her or train her afterwards." Carol says, "I do understand the situation, but ask you to make an exception. I'm telling you, this kid is good. She has the potential to be one of the best. Isn't there any way you can do it?" Aizawa thinks for a moment and says, "Well, we have a training exercise between Class 1A and B, which we are also using to judge another student. We can slip her in there. But afterwards, I don't think we have the manpower to train her and bring her up to speed." Kiro says, "I understand. I will owe you big time. Any favor you need or want, ask for it. I just ask you do this. In the meantime, I can come by and train her in the combat sense, if you keep on the training and classes in other regards." Nezu gets up and says, "This seems like an agreeable arrangement, but don't think we won't ask for the favor. From the adventures eventually." Back with Peter, he finishes taking care of the Frightful Four. He defeated them all, sustaining some damage in the process. The four are webbed up, but the collateral damage is big. The White Tiger shows up on the scene and has a look around, spotting Peter. He asks, "Who are you?" Peter grabs his license and says, "I'm Spiderman. Just took care of it, the bank robbery." The wizard whispers, "How are we supposed to pay the debts of the Kingpin when we can't pull off one job?" Spidey webs his mouth shut and asks, "You mind taking it from here? I kind of have places to be. I'm kind of tired." White Tiger looks at the surroundings and thinks, "The kid has power and talent. He just needs to pay more attention to his surroundings." Still, no civilians were hurt. He managed to pull them out of harm's way pretty quickly. He says out loud, "You're from UA, right?" Peter nods and White Tiger continues, "Then get going. I'll handle the boring stuff." Peter grabs his stuff and heads back to the dorms. Upon arriving, he goes to the support lab to pick up a couple of other things and heads to his room. There he starts working on his suit, because he was using his old suit because his new one is broken. Even working through the night. The next morning, it's ready. A new suit. One that looks a lot like the Spectacular Spider-Man, the comic version, with a lot of extra features. It's basically very similar to the one you see on the screenshot of these videos. He checks his phone and sees a bunch of news sites reporting on how he stops so many crimes and explaining who he is. He just scrolls through them, not paying much attention to them. But one he does see is from the dailybugle.com saying Spider-Man, threat or menace. A news story reporting on his collateral damage and the fact that he is the #1 suspect in the UA heist story. Peter ignores the article as he did with most of them. He just browsed through them, thought, hey, I'm popular, and turned off his phone to actually take 2 hours rest before class starts. When he wakes up, he then goes to class, and when it ends, he goes back to his room and starts working on Midoriya's suit because he promised an update. He works through it through the night, and about 2 a.m. he hears noises coming from the room next door. Peter gets up and knocks on Midoriya's door. He opens the door and asks, "Hey Midoriya, everything good?" He sees Midoriya and his bed panting, trying to catch his breath. Midoriya smiles and says, "I'm fine." Peter asks, "What did you do to your room?" Midoriya says, "Bad dream, that's it." The next morning, Peter wakes up having finished Midoriya's suit and started working on Ochako's because he also promised her an upgrade. He goes through some regular classes and goes to lunch. When the time comes, he and Gwen go to the cafeteria and pass by Midoriya. Peter asks, "Hey, want to join us for lunch?" With a smile, Midoriya declines the offer, saying he's going to have lunch with All Might. Peter asks, "Is it about that dream?" Midoriya nods. Peter and Gwen then go have lunch together, with her asking what Midoriya was referring to, and Peter answered without giving too much away. After lunch, classes resume. Class 1A walks onto Ground Gamma, the pipe and industrial zone, with them all wearing their winter uniforms. Ida says, It looks like everybody's costumes have changed quite a bit since the year started." Tsuyu asks, "Hey Midoriya, why aren't you wearing the new suit that Peter made for you?" Midoriya says, "Oh well, the paperwork hasn't gone through yet, so I can't really use it yet." Midoriya goes to Araka and says, "I just wanted to let you know that I started working on your suit for you too, so I should have it ready by tomorrow." And she says, "Great." The students keep talking about their new costumes when Monoma says, "Sheesh, got a nice party atmosphere going, have we? You guys aren't looking down on us, are you?" Kirishima says, "Nope, not looking down at you at all, we're just very excited." Monoma laughs and says, "I see, too bad. The tides are surely in our favor this time." He keeps on going for a little bit until the teachers arrive. Aizawa shuts him up and says, "Settle down now." Black King says, "We have some special guests today." Aizawa says, "Try not to look stupid in front of them." Yamamoto asks, "Guests?" Bakugo screams, "I'll kill them." Kaminari asks, "Is one of them a girl?" Tetsu says, "Let's work hard together." Aizawa says, "They are applying to transfer to the hero course." These are Hitoshi Shinzo from Class C and Kamala Khan from Class D of the Department of General Education. Midoriya says, "So that's what he meant." He said, "Well, yeah." "What is that, Mr. Aizawa's binding cloth?" Peter asks, "What's with the mask?" Peter turns to Kamala and says, "You're in Gwen's class, right? I'm not making that up." Kamala says, "Well, yeah. Hard to keep up with her, but yes. You're her boyfriend, right?" Peter blushes and says, "Yeah. So, what's with the sports uniform? No costume thing? No costume things?" While everyone freaks out about Shinzo, Peter instead interacts with Kamala. Kamala says, no, I didn't have time to come up with anything. I only found out I was doing this yesterday. It was a favor. Peter says, well, if you need to design the costume or need some help with gadgets and stuff, come talk to me. I'll do what I can. Kamala says, thanks. Peter asks, wait, a favor from who? Aizawa says, wait, we're still waiting for somebody else. Don't get too excited. Captain Marvel then lands on the ground with her mask coming off. She says, hey everyone. Peter freaks out with everyone following suit. Peter and Midoriya both manage to get an autograph. Aizawa says, alright, now that we're all here, students, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Shinso says, I know I've already encountered many of you at the sports festival, but you won't catch me thinking that we're all buddies, now that we've exchanged blows. I'm not some good-natured person trying to suit a specific sense of sportsmanship. The fact of the matter is, I've got a late start, and I've already been left in the dust by hundreds of steps by you all. I'm sorry, but I'm desperate. I will become a great hero, so that I can use my quirk to help others. All of you here today are obstacles that I must overcome. I have no intention of making friends. Everyone applauds at the speech and comments on it. Carol says, man, that was intense. She nods and Kamala on the shoulder and says, your turn, kid. Kamala says, well, my name's Kamala. I didn't really prepare a speech or anything. I'm not that desperate, but I've been given a chance here to chase after a childhood dream of mine, and I can become like my hero. So you bet I'm not going to waste this chance. No matter what, if we come to blows, I wish you good luck, and if we're team members, I hope we get along well. I'm not as desperate as Shinso, but we'll give it my best. The classes then clap and comment on that speech too. Aizawa says, alright then, let's get to it. Black King shouts, combat training. The two of them then proceed to explain the exercise and how it's going to work. After that, Aizawa says, alright then. Black King adds, time to draw lots. In this case, the teams are exactly the same as in canon, except that Peter replaces Aoyama on Team 2. Black King says, alright Shinso, Kamala, go ahead and draw yours. You'll join the teams of each number you pull. Shinso draws 2 lots, Team 5 for Class B and Team 1 for Class A. Kamala draws 2 lots too. She draws Team 3 for Class B and Team 2 for Class A. After a bit of time, the first match begins. This one going exactly as it did in the regular canon, with Class 1A and Shinso winning 4-2 against Class 1B. At this point, Vlad King says, without further ado, Team 2, prepare for the second set. As they walk towards their starting point, Yaomomo and Kendo have a small interaction with a couple of declarations of war in the mix. Once at their starting point, and before the match starts, Kamala asks, what's the plan? Peter and Yaomomo look at each other, each gesturing for the other to go ahead and explain a plan. Yaomomo says, okay, I guess I'll go. I think we should send Dark Shadow at them as a scout. Peter, without his mask on at the moment, says, I don't think that's a good idea. Remember Kuroiro. He can enter black objects. We also have to take quirk evolution into account. Kamala asks, what? Peter says, their development. UA is consistently having us push past our limits, so it wouldn't be too hard to assume that he can currently control Dark Shadow if he were to enter him using his quirk. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting a bit, Yaoyorozu. You're the boss here, not me. Yaomomo says, well, in that case, we should probably try disabling them one by one. Kendo is very good at hand-to-hand combat. They are probably going to try and play against our weaknesses, so using unknown variables is good for us. We should also try using the most favorable matchups for us. We have an ace in the hole after all. They all look at Kamala. Nervous, she asks, why are you all looking at me for? Peter says, nobody knows your quirk or your capabilities. You're a wild card. You can be used to our advantage very much. Tokoyami interjects, that is assuming that you have something we can use. Hagakure asks, what is your quirk exactly? Kamala says, well, I call it embiggen. I can stretch my body in many ways, make myself bigger, smaller, and stretch in other ways. Yamamoto starts making some items and says, okay then, we should probably take this into consideration. They keep strategizing for a couple of minutes before the match actually starts. The group starts walking through the training ground stealthily, but still wanting to draw some attention. As they walk, Peter gets a weird sensation. His spider sense is going off. He jumps into the air, pushing Kamala out of the way. Just as when Manga Fukidashi uses his quirk, trying to crush the other team. Peter shouts, you guys okay? Tokoyami says, we're fine, focus on the trials ahead and try to win. Hagakure says, thanks for the save, Peter. Peter says, oh, I didn't realize I got you too. Comic Man stands there and says, looks like we caught ourselves a catch. She-Mage starts spraying her fertilizer around and smiles while saying, shroom, shroom. On the other side of the giant onomatopoeia, Yorozu fights against Kendo, wanting to send help to her allies on the other side. Kendo manages to beat her, but Yamamoto does restrain her. At the same time, Vantablack managed to defeat Tokoyami thanks to his quirk and the advantage of, well, him entering dark objects and controlling them. Kendo says, good job, Yuroido. Let's get these two to the base and wait for the rest. On the other side of the onomatopoeia, Peter yoinks the spray out of Komori's hands, going in for a kick and webbing her up, knocking her out, before she can use her mushroom quirk. Manga Fukidashi freaks out not being able to fight in close quarters. Kamala stretches out her arm and knocks him out in one punch. She says, that was easy. Peter says, it seems like we lost the others. Hagakure, you go looking for them. Go full invisible in case the other team won. Keep us informed. We'll take these two to the holding cell and be back as quick as possible. Peter and Kamala put the two Class B students in the holding cell. In the meantime, Hagakure starts spying on the other team. However, when she gets close, Kendo notices a little mushroom on her leg, spotting her. She takes her down very quickly. Peter and Kamala head towards the Class 1B territory, trying to find Hagakure on the way. While walking, Peter's spider sense goes off. He has a look around, looking for danger. He takes a step, and Vantablack grabs onto his leg, taking him across the battlefield, hitting him around kind of like he did Aoyama in the main continuity. Peter grabs onto the pipes, staking to them to slow down. He then changes his web shooter combination to the spider signal and shines it at where Kuroido is hiding, making him fall out. Peter takes the opportunity and swings in, kicking Kuroido against the wall, trying to take him down. Peter says, the darkness won't win so easily. The light side is more powerful than you thought. Kuroido melts back into the shadows and says, I don't have to win. Peter jumps back, stepping into a small clearing. He closes his eyes and says, use the force, Peter. Use the force. Vantablack jumps out of the shadows, wanting to strike at Peter, but Peter, using his spider sense, jumps out of the way, kicking him over the head. The moment that he is taken care of, the announcement is made. Class 1B wins, having captured 4 students. Peter hits his forehead and says, Kamala! She put up quite a good fight, but Kendo managed to get the best of her, since she is strong and more experienced. After the match, all the students give a self-evaluation. Peter says, I did so much wrong. I should have helped more in the strategizing and tried to help the team stick together. I shouldn't have let Kamala fight Kendo alone. I should have helped her. She wasn't experienced enough. I focused too much on one aspect, not considering the consequences, getting me distracted from the big picture. That is his reflection, at least. After that, it's the third set. In this one, Kamala joins Class 1B, since in the main continuity they are tied. This time around, having Kamala on their side gives them an advantage, which ends up giving them the victory. I'm not going to explain this one. Kamala's team cooperativeness and skill does impress the teachers in this set. She manages to capture another one of the Class 1A students. When the time ends, Class B wins by 2-1. I'm a bit lazy and just don't want to write this whole scenario right now, so you just get this. The last 2 matches develop pretty much the same as in canon, Bakugo leads his team to victory by being a good leader and fighter, and the last match goes a bit out of control with Midoriya manifesting a new ability. The moment the attack happens, Peter screams, "No, my suit! I spent hours making that." Kamala says, "Sorry, buddy." Peter in a defeated tone says, "I spent all night making that, and it was so expensive. I even had to get some tech imported from the US and Island." Aoyama says, "If you need some materials, I'd be happy to help out." Peter says, "Thanks, but I think it'd be a bit complex for you to make." Peter looks at the fight again and thinks, still, it's a very impressive development. He had no quirk and now he manifested a second one, and one that's so much like my webs. Peter then says, "You know, if he starts sticking to walls now, I'm suing him," causing some laughter among the class. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for today. I do hope you all enjoyed. If you did and want more, be sure to hit that like button if you want to see more. I honestly wanted to make this video better, but after making it so long and writing so much, I didn't want to drag it out more or split it up into 2 parts. And at this point, I just don't want to rewrite it. Anyway, next time should be Villain Academia, and after that, an arc I'm pretty excited for, because I can finally use some of my original ideas for this series. Until then, hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye!